Okay, Ben Sebastian here, curator of a Symphonic podcast, composer of a Kalasin series of albums and all sorts of forthcoming stuff. Check my link tree, it'll fan out to all the different bits and pieces that is going on Planet Sebastian. Today is a bit of a departure, quite something that's come out of an era, but I think could be something quite beautiful. So it concerns a artist, Olivier Olier, and forgive me if I've got any of the pronunciation of that wrong. And basically, he's a minimalist kind of pianist, composer of sort of imaginary soundtracks, and he calls himself a distant observer of Eric Satie, Philip Glass, and he's released this album, Departs. And I'm going to play 3 tracks from it, but so it's quite a departure from like sort of the metal kind of thing that we're kind of known for. And shortly after his submission, he messaged me to say, "Look, I'm sorry, I think I made a mistake. I thought you could review music besides symphonic metal, which I can and I do and I am doing. I misread symphonic and believed that you could judge my work belonging to the neoclassic niche of minimalist piano and string quartet. My inspirations are more Ravel, Satie, Reich, Glass, Einaudi, Nyman, Gonzalez and Siren rather than Nightwish or Within Temptations." But so I messaged him back and was like, yeah, I mean, I'm into my classical music. I count Mussorgsky, Rachmaninoff, Stravinsky, Paganini, Rimsky-Korsakov, Prokofiev, Shostakovich amongst some of my favourite composers. Probably a fact that's kind of not least well known amongst sort of my sort of circle of the metal community here. Interesting name that he listed there was Einaudi. I was introduced to his works previously by someone that I was romantically sort of attached to, and that unfortunately that blew up in spectacular fashion. But that legacy and that introduction of Einaudi will remain. And if anyone doesn't know Ludovico Einaudi, I'm going to post a link. Absolutely amazing pianist. Very, very emotional, and so facets of his style I'm incorporating into a track of mine called The Whirlwind, which I've updated on my Spotify as a sort of compositional work in progress, kind of insight into what I'm doing, and you can get that through the link tree. Anyway, so moving on, let's actually get into this rather obscure review, and one of the other points that he mentioned was, and this is quite pertinent, the fact that he only hears opinions from friends and family, and from an indie pop background, he's played in bands before, add to a need to have a fresh ear on things, and he hopes that his first album at the crossroad of pop minimalism and pop songs will kind of keep me interested. So without further ado, we're going to roll with the first track of 3 that we're going to, or let's say the first piece. Let's get into classical terminology mode. The first piece, and this is this is called. And okay, again, the pronunciation is going to kill me. Is it Kinte Flush? I have no idea what that means, but we're going to push play now. Well, for me, firstly, I apologise. This isn't music that I can sort of bang my head to, but yeah, I think there's probably quite a few smiles along the way. I do like the way that piano built up. Very emotional player to my ear. And listen, okay, I'm not a classical reviewer. I like some classical music, but I don't have the depth of like theory and orchestral knowledge. I bash things out by comparison in my sort of symphonic arrangements, and any kind of detailed musical theory is so like. Oh, I learned it so long ago that it was a lifetime ago, and I've absolutely forgot it. So I'm going to steer away from even attempting such terminology because otherwise I'll come across as an idiot. But there is certainly a passion in this guy's playing. There's some nice soft touches in there, and that ending. I don't know if you caught that. I was like, ooh, that transition into the ending was actually quite something. And I like that kind of stuff. Very nice, relaxing piece, very moving piece. And strings as well. I'm not going to embarrass myself with regards to what I think there was, but there's certainly a cello, violin in there. There may have been something else. I don't know, but that added a very nice sort of dimension to colour to the whole thing. Although to be fair, I think the just on its own, the piano was absolutely something. This guy is a nice pianist, and I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with the black and white keys. There's no end to where you can go with them. And there's some interesting confirmation there actually, because I've been playing around with doing more piano based stuff as a way of kind of tightening up things like a very rigid left hand, because I'm used to sort of all my crazy sort of solos, but I'm not really sort of like very what do you call it, flexible in the left hand. So I have been from time to time sort of been messing around with that, and I won't say that I've created anything, to the standard of this classical trained pianist, but I've certainly done some things that sounded similar. So that's a nice kind of confirmatory as a player and as a musician, to say that I'm not a million miles away from being something that we considered reasonable. So that's kind of nice to hear, and that's something that I will take away from this review on a personal level. So moving to the next sort of piece, I suppose, it's Envy de Violences. Again, fucking my bastardized French. I apologise. I probably sound like a complete Neanderthal, but here we go. Beautiful. Oh man, I'm loving this. Oh. Yeah, absolutely amazing. I mean, when music makes your hair stand on end and brings water to your eyes, then you know it's something special. I love that. I love that. Yeah. There's some really nice transitions in there. What I love is that I love that sort of the bass running kind of melody that kind of sort of came through regularly throughout the piece. So, absolutely love that kind of stuff. I use that in some of my sort of competition work myself, and I love the fact that it goes all a bit sort of like atonal when he sort of brings the more the sort of the treble melodies into it. It goes a little bit off key and then resolves itself in a beautiful sort of passion, in a beautiful way. That drum. I'm going to say that drum bass, that softness, that sort of like pump, in the sub region has been beautifully captured. Whoever mic'd those drums has done a fantastic job on that. Yeah, I love that, and the strings adding all of the harmonies and kind of helping it all along. Yeah, that was just, yeah, that's outstanding. Thoroughly enjoyed that. My only critique, and this is only because it's something that, I mean, who am I to critique a classically trained pianist? But my only critique, and it's something that I discovered myself, is that sort of low end on the piano. It's very hard to get that crystal clear. And I felt that at times, because you've got that quite dominant bass drum, and then when you start to sort of, hit these regions on the keys, and in piano in particular, I feel it kind of sort of gets lost a little bit in the mix. And the best way to do that is to do a sort of a low no. Yeah, it's called a high end pass, but I think it's at the low. Just to kind of take away some of the sub for the piano. Then what you end up with still pretty much the same amount of bassiness, but you lose some of the resonance, you lose some of the mud, and that would just add clarity to what's going on down there, because there was just a couple of times where it felt lost. But this is a very, very infinitesimal kind of critique, and just more something that I noticed because I've actually had to deal with it recently. But yeah, that was a surprise so far. It's been my favourite of the three. So yes, so we've got one more, and we're going to go for that now. Okay, so this is like the track is called Min Maj, well, it's minor major, but it's using the abbreviated form, which I would know as a musician. But others view as won't. So I'm imagining sort of transitions and stuff being conjured up. But let's give this a whirl. Oh, love it. Oh, man. This is stuff I absolutely like hone in on when I'm composing and writing piano stuff myself. There we go. Nice. Back into the minor sequence. I love that. Oh, the tension. Love it. Hmm. Oh man. Nice. Nice piece. Wow. I love it when Olier gets moody. I think that's him at his best. Let's go back to the comment about him. It'd be nice to get, you know, a fresh ear on the music. You know, is outside the circle of family and friends who, admittedly, are going to be sort of biased, are going to be sort of supportive, and probably aren't going to sort of, you know, look at it with any sort of serious critique. They're just going to go, yeah, this is great, you carry on, which is all good and empowering, but it's nice to get an outside opinion. Whilst the second one with the drum pattern and all that kind of stuff is nice, you know, I'd keep that as the lower percentage of your work. Because when it's just you at the piano, you don't need the drum pattern to fill in the silences. Your composing slash songwriting, piece writing abilities are as such that you don't need the filler. The space you create between passages is enough. The tension you build in your playing is compelling, and the yeah, what you're doing is just enough. I seriously love it when you get moody, and you know, get excuse me, and certainly go when you start going into sort of like, you know, more sort of clashy distonal type stuff. Like in the last piece, I think there's a play part where you're sort of, you know, yeah, you've got something going on in the bass, and then over the top in the treble, you've got like the second and the minor third sort of, you know, sort of clashing. I love all of that. I do all of that kind of stuff, you know, with strings and with piano, obviously not real strings, but you know, in my compositions and what have you, as a way of building tension, and you know, I love all of that. I love what you're doing. And yeah, I'm actually going to give this album a full whirl and see whatever gems are hidden in there. And I'm sure there will be. Look, this is the best mistake ever to happen to my sort of YouTube account, and I'm gonna try and do some more of this kind of stuff. I think I might. I'm kind of toying with the idea of opening up another account to handle everything that isn't metal, because, you know, I'm a musician. I have a musician's mind. I have a musician's ears, and I just love all sorts of stuff. But you know, it's although I kind of write mostly metal, you know, you can't pigeonhole me, and you can't pigeonhole my tastes. So maybe I'll do something for sort of like a different audience. But yeah, I love this. This was brilliant, and you know, also the big takeaway is that is you have given me huge amount of confidence by sort of coming out and saying, look, okay, I'm this like pianist, you know, and already you've elevated like the pedestal for you, between me and you. This is only my perspective, is higher because you're a classically sort of like trained pianist. You know, I'm the guy that kind of bumbles his way through stuff, and what have you. So, you know, already, yeah, it's like I'm looking up to you, but you come back a step, and you sort of say, well, you know, I'm looking for fresh ears. That's outside. I'm kind of looking for confirmation of what I'm doing, my direction, and what have you. And then to hear that, you know, there are things in common between us. There's some common ground, and you know, that's inspired me. That's given me a bit of, you know, of an injection of confidence, and so I thank you for the erroneous submission, and for the beautiful music, and for that uplift, and you know, I hope, you know, we can stay in contact, and I'd love to hear what's going on in future. And yeah, this has been an entirely different video, but you know, that's what life is being about. You know, step outside your comfort zone, and always be inquisitive. And it's 9 times out of 10 it paid off, and it did today. Thank you for watching. Links to Olivier Olier stuff below. Forgive me with names and pronunciation. Links to my stuff as well below. Look, like, subscribe, follow, all of that.